Hey there, everyone. I hope you're all having a good day. I hope everyone had a great weekend as well. Yeah, so here we are with a brand new week ahead. I decided to try something new and do things from a different angle, so to speak. So I hope that you like the different angle. Let's see how it works for us today. I'm going to be doing a reading for you for the week ahead from the Earth Magic Oracle. For those of you who've been around and with me for a while, you will probably be familiar with this. I've done this deck of cards for a long time. I've had it for a long time, and it's always very reliable in terms of energies that are around us. So I thought it would be quite appropriate, seeing as we've got the new moon in Pisces, which can be quite emotional and dreamy, and it lets our imagination run away with us sometimes, and that can be a very good thing, but it can also be a not so good thing when we allow it to take us to all the wrong places. We start worrying about things we shouldn't be worrying about and creating scenarios in our heads, and it can just let us get into our heads a little bit more than we would like. Okay, but at the same time as well, this is like a romantic energy. It's about dreaming about and romanticizing things, and it is a very good time for creation and to visualize and manifest things too. So we just need to make sure that we're keeping our heads and our hearts and our emotions in check to the best of our ability, keeping ourselves as grounded and positive as we possibly can. And yeah, let's see what other advice we get as well. I'm going to just be asking what is important for us to know this week in terms of the energies that surround us, what we need to be looking at, working on. And with this deck of cards, it does really talk about fundamental energies, so anything's possible. Let's see what comes up. All right, so can we please see, let me ask also, what is the most prominent energies that we are going to feel this week that we need to maybe be aware of, and it'll be constructive and helpful for us to be aware of those. Let's see. What are the energies surrounding us this week that it will be constructive for us to be aware of, please? Perspective. Okay, I think I just spoke about this. Keeping things in perspective. This is going to be of paramount importance for you. And I've even slipped with this for a couple of days. We seem to be like a little bit off balance, and we need to stay centered. Meditation's very good, and I'm reminded of that when I see this kind of Milky Way look here, just to focus on the bigger picture, where you are in the universe, where you fit in the universe, and keep things in perspective. Are things really important? Are they life and death? Are they worth fighting and arguing about? All of these kinds of things that we need to ask ourselves when we have the potential to be a little bit overreactive, over emotional, or maybe even unreasonable at times. And we don't really realize it until we sit back and say, you know what, that really wasn't such a big deal. Did I really have to freak out about that? Okay, let's see what else. Are there any other energies we need to be looking at, please? I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of cards today. Focus. Okay, there again. Keep things in perspective. Keep your perspective and your focus as balanced as you can. All right, here it's actually showing amethyst as well, so it's showing crystals here. It's showing that you also, I keep being told to think out of yourself, think out of the box, okay? Get to this kind of state here. And just like we see, it's almost as if I'm sitting in this cave, okay, and doing a meditation or something of the sort. Come on, focus for us. And I'm allowing, even though I'm sitting here, I'm allowing my thoughts to go elsewhere. I'm getting out of my physical body so that I can, and I mean, you don't have to do astral projection or anything, but I'm saying switch off a little bit, okay? Or go out in the garden or sit quietly and do a meditation. Get out of your physical 3D self, especially if your physical 3D self is feeling overwhelmed, is feeling overreactive, is worrying about physical 3D things like money and chores and all of this. Zoom out a little bit, because we lose perspective and we become single-minded about stuff that actually becomes or is really unimportant. We forget about the important stuff. We get about why we're really here, the bigger picture. And this is something we really have to look at here. You need to shift your focus if your focus is especially only on physical 3D stuff. how you're going to pay the bills, what you're going to do at work tomorrow. Just remember who you are and that you're connected to everything and that you are not just a physical being and you're not expected to be a physical being that's burning yourself out all the time. All of these things. Stop and smell the flowers. All right? And this is definitely saying to me, we gain focus by not focusing on ourselves, not focusing on the physical 3D, but the bigger picture, our spiritual selves, imagining ourselves somewhere else. And I also think that this is also talking about what I was mentioning right in the beginning when I said this is a good time for visualization and manifestation. Do that. All right, if we do the meditation, we can do visualizations and manifestations and try to push thoughts out of your mind that have got to do with you worrying about not achieving something or worrying about not having something. We don't want to be praying for what we don't want. All right, that's a good way to keep things in perspective. Ask yourself, am I sweating the small stuff? Is this really worth it? Am I keeping things in perspective? And that's probably the best way that you're going to get through the week. What else do we need? Oh, there we go. I didn't even need to finish asking. There's 2 of them. Innocence and breach. Okay, so I feel like there's some breakthroughs that could be made with regards to old memories. All right, it doesn't necessarily have to be childhood, but I feel like this is stuff from the past that we need to be reflecting on, looking at, and also keep it in perspective. Is it such a big deal? When we're thinking of something from the past, are we thinking of, well, so-and-so did this to me and it was so terrible, and we put ourselves back in that moment where we feel so angry and victimized and frustrated? Or are we keeping it in perspective and saying, hey, you know what? That happened a long time ago. Maybe I shouldn't still be so angry. Does that person even know how angry I am? Really think about these things. Sometimes we're angry at people who aren't even here. And it's not that does not legitimize us being angry, but keep things in perspective. Is it serving you? Is it time for you to break away from it? And I think that this is what this breach is about. I feel like certain people are dealing with difficult things. It might be old relationships and you keep getting reminded about them. And if you do keep getting reminded about them, that's always a good indication to say, well, how do I let it affect me? How much do I let it affect me every time I think about it? Or an old job that you didn't like, where they didn't treat you well, or whatever it is. Every time you think about it, do you put yourself back in that space and completely imagine yourself sitting at your desk being victimized by your boss or being shouted at by your partner? Do you put yourself back in that place? And if so, is that something you should be doing to yourself? Is that something that's constructive and helpful and good for you? No. So keep it in perspective. Tell yourself, that was a long time ago. I'm free from that situation. I'm here now, in this moment. And I'm a spiritual being, and that might have been part of my journey. But I don't have to be reliving it and playing that tape over and over and over. I have a very good friend from many years ago, and she taught me a really cool trick, which she kind of came up with herself. And every time she thought of this particular person that she didn't like, that hurt her in her life, she would imagine she's driving in a car and she had an old traditional tape deck where you push the button and it spits the tape out, and she'd throw the tape out the window every single time until she stopped thinking about him. And she stopped thinking about the situation because she throws the tape out the window and she won't allow it to play over and over. And that's how she overcome that particular problem or that particular memory that she couldn't stop playing over and over in her mind. That was her own adaptation, but it worked beautifully. And maybe that will work for you. Maybe I mean to mention it to you today because it will be helpful. All right, let's see. Is there anything else that we need to know for this week, please? It's normal as well, people, especially when it's new moon, to be reflecting on old energies, old memories, things that we regret. So don't beat yourself up about it too much and don't let it overwhelm you. All right, I feel like we're done with this deck of cards. So I'm going to take the bottom of the deck, which is karma. All right, let me just show it to you on its own. I feel like this is some of the past stuff too. It could be family stuff, and it doesn't necessarily have to be family stuff. There is family karma, obviously. certain things that we're taught and that we're dealing with. If you have got a particular problem, it can be any kind of problem, financial problems, health problems, can often, we can be told this is something that's hereditary, you're bound to get it. And we get stuck in that mindset when we think, well, I'm going to have this for the rest of my life because my family has it. You can break these things. Okay, you can take precautions to make sure that you are looking after your health, or you avoid certain things that create that thing. Like if everybody in your family, you get told we're all dying of lung cancer, or everyone in the family's died of lung cancer, try not to smoke. Try and take the obvious preventative measures that you can. There's also certain circumstances where people get into abusive relationships because their parents were in abusive relationships. You can be mindful of that, and you can go and, maybe get some counseling or something, or get a life coach to help you to not get yourselves into that situation again, break the cycle. So I feel like to a large extent, this innocence is talking about maybe childhood things or things from the past, us having to break out of that, and that it doesn't come easy. Think of the velocity it takes for this whale to actually breach himself out of the water. It doesn't come easily. But he literally gives it all he can to just get out of the water and breach and splash like that for that moment's liberation. All right, and that's what it's about, liberation. I feel like we really can break certain karmic patterns and ties with our mindsets, and realizing that we don't have to resign ourselves to something that's the way it's always been and it's always going to be that way. That's also in itself a saying that we've almost been conditioned to believe, and it we take it as the truth. But I ask you to question the truth, to question karmic stuff, family karma, things that you've been told are inevitably yours to carry that you don't like. Try to get your mind away from that and take action to counteract it. It does not have to be your belief system just because someone you once trusted told you that these are the facts. They're not always necessarily true, and it's not always necessarily intentional that they do that either. Alright, I feel like I do have to pull some other cards today. I knew it before I started this reading that it was like, because it's new moon in Pisces, for some reason I have to pull other cards. Okay. I'm going to be pulling from the Archangel Raphael healing oracle cards, and again, please remember that Archangel Raphael is an archetype for certain people. It's symbolic for healing. All right, and these messages are going to come through with a very fundamental underlying message that is going to be most important. So let's just see what's needing to happen here quickly. If you prefer the way that I'm doing this video, please give it a like or comment or something so that I know. I don't know that you like it unless you like it. So please let me know if you prefer this way of me showing you the individual cards close up, if you like the angle that I'm doing the video at. I really value your feedback so much, and I'm so grateful to everybody who does comment and tell me what they like or don't like, or if something spoke to them. So please, I encourage you to do that, and to also please pass it on if you feel like somebody can benefit from this. All right, what do we need to know from the Archangel Raphael deck today, please? Okay, I'm one of those that needs one of these at the moment. Good night's sleep. Dear Archangel Raphael, thank you for helping me to relax and sleep deeply, for I know that you are guiding, healing, and protecting me while I rest. Okay, remember, we don't always need to know everything. We don't need to always have to be looking after ourselves or be vigilant all the time or worry ourselves sick so that we don't get rest. Remember that you are being guided. There is healing available. There is protection for you, and you actually can have a good night's sleep. All right, this is talking to you guys about your sleep patterns. It can be difficult to sleep at new moon and full moon. That's why I usually struggle, especially on nights like this when I'm doing energy sessions that I'm very hyped up and there's no way it's happening. But that's a good kind of can't sleep, so I don't mind too much. All right, what else do we need to know from Archangel Raphael today, please? The Raphael deck. Here we go. Yes. Okay, so this is talking about a specific question that you're asking, something that's bothering you, that you're wondering what is the answer here. And it says, Dear Archangel Raphael, please help me to trust my feelings as the accurate barometer of truth. The answer is yes. Okay, so this is the biggest question that you're asking yourself at the moment. I think you would have been asking it for the past couple of days. You're concerned about something. Is something going to happen? Are you going to find a resolution to certain things? Maybe is it possible to heal from this karmic stuff, this thing that you want to heal from? Even if you're asking yourself, do I need to get more rest? Should I meditate more? Whatever your question is, it will be something that you've been thinking about. I feel like it's definitely been on your mind for the past week or so, or the past 3 days. It's the most prominent thing that you're questioning all the time, and you're saying, I wish I just knew the answer. Okay, and please let me remind you, there is a no card in this deck of cards as well. All right, let's pull one more. Is there anything else, please, that we need from this deck of cards? Last time. That might be all that we need. There we go. Forgiveness heals. Okay, this is definitely talking about karmic stuff here. Forgiveness heals. All right, so these things from the past, from the childhood, the karmic stuff, whatever it is that needs healing. If you are trying to deal with ancestral karma and things like this, you need to know that there needs to be an element of forgiveness. We cannot be angry with our ancestors for telling us that we're supposed to have a certain illness, or for having a certain illness, or for having a certain belief system around money, or saying silly things that impacted us and gave us a mindset or a belief system. There needs to be forgiveness for that, all right? Especially, and I say this often, for the older generations, if they told us things like, oh, you know what, we're all fatties in this family. Everybody's overweight. Or we're never going to be rich. We've never been rich people. So, you know, that we just don't do what those people do. Don't take it too harshly and don't judge them too harshly. They said things in innocence without a negative intent. And really, it was not in their consciousness, and it was not in their ability to have the kind of healing we have today, where we have become more spiritual. They didn't know what family karma is. Okay, many of them wouldn't know what karma is. If you think about your grandmother or your great grandmother, they wouldn't know what you're talking about, unless obviously they had a religious belief system that allowed for that. So don't hold it against them. Okay. Dear God and Angel Raphael, I am willing to forgive myself and others in exchange for what I really want: peace and health. Sometimes we do hold unforgiveness with other people, and we hold unforgiveness with ourselves. And that can manifest physically in our physical body as physical ailments. So please bear that in mind. If we're very angry, we sometimes get gout. All right? If we are not feeling supported, we sometimes have lower back issues. There are certain things that happen in the psyche and the subconscious and on a spiritual level that cause physical ailments a lot of the time. And I'm not saying all of them are caused. Some of them are caused literally from something happening to you in this lifetime. But sometimes these things can really cause different illnesses. We can be told that we're going to have a certain illness because it runs in the family. And so we accept that fate, and mentally we're ready to be sick. All right, so we really need to just be aware of that. We need to counteract it wherever we can and say, I release myself from that. I do not have to resign myself to that. And again, remember that you need to trust your own feelings, because that is the accurate barometer of truth. If something feels right, it's right. If it feels wrong, it's wrong. Just like when you got that information, did it feel true, or does it not feel true for you? If you can say, I don't accept that as a truth for myself, that's the first step in the right direction. Okay, everybody, I hope that you enjoyed this slightly different reading. Please let me know if you do. And please share it if you feel it's going to help somebody else. I appreciate all of you very, very much. And I send you lots of strength and lots of love. And I wish you a beautiful week further. Take care. Bye for now.